Hello everyone, my name is CHOK and today I'm going to demonstrate on how to construct a simple smoke detector circuit using Arduino Uno module. I will be using the website Tinkercad in order to demonstrate the circuit. So first of all, we are going to build our foundation for the circuit. So from the component basic here, I will pull out the Arduino Uno R3 module here, and I will also pull out a breadboard that is a small breadboard here. And these two components will be the base for our smoke detector circuit. And moving on, we'll start by wiring the power supply on the Arduino Uno module onto the breadboard. So here we'll be using a 5 voltage power and then wire it directly onto the breadboard, and then wire the power line also onto the other side. And then as for the other wire, I'll be wiring the ground pin on the Arduino Uno module onto the ground pin on the breadboard here. I will also wire the ground pin here to the other side of the breadboard here. And moving on to the next components on the smoke detector circuit. This circuit here requires 8 components, which consists of three resistors with a resistance value of 1k ohm, a resistor that has a resistance value of 4.7k ohm, 2 LEDs, one of them is red and one of them is green, to differentiate them, a piezo, and a gas sensor. And these are the 8 components that is required for this circuit here. So onto the wiring, I will be doing the wiring on the gas sensor first. So I will first wire the power line onto the 3 pins on top of the gas sensor. So here, the first power line here will be wired onto the terminal A2, and then the second power line here will be wired onto the H1 terminal on the gas sensor, and the third power line here will be wired onto the terminal A1 here on the gas sensor. So the top 3 terminals are done for the gas sensor. And moving on, as for the ground wire, H2 here can be directly wired into the ground pin on top, the ground pin in the breadboard. As for B2, it should be also connected to the ground pin on the breadboard, but this terminal here is needed to be wired with the resistor with a resistance value of 4.7k. So on top of B2 terminal here, directly wire it onto the resistor, and then wire the ground pin here onto the other other terminal of the resistor. And for the last pin on the gas sensor B1, I will directly wire it onto the analog in department of the Arduino Uno module. I will also wire it onto A0 pin A0 here. And And that is all for the wiring of the gas sensor. And then moving on to the wiring of the LED light. So here, for both LEDs, their wiring is the same. So first, wire a 1K, a resistor with a resistance of 1K ohm onto both of the resistors here. I mean the both of the LED here. Make sure it is connected. Make sure it is lined up with the cathode of the LED, and then using a black wire, and then connect it to the ground pin of the breadboard, both of them. And as for here, also connect the cathode of the LED onto the terminal of the resistor. And same goes for the other LED also. As for the anode of both LEDs, the first LED will be directly wired onto the Arduino Uno module onto pin D2 here on the digital part department here. As for the red LED here, it will be wired directly towards another pin that is named D3. I will move the line a bit, just you guys can see how the wiring is. We also change the color. And that is done for the LED wiring for both of them. And then moving on onto the last part of the circuit, which is the wiring of the piezo. So we will start on the negative terminal on piezo. I will wire the last resistor with 1K with a resistor value of 1K ohm, on lining up with the negative terminal of the piezo, and then start wiring it, and start wiring the ground pin of the breadboard to the terminal of the resistor. And then we connect the negative terminal of the piezo onto the terminal of the other resistor, or the 1K ohm resistor. As for the positive terminal of the piezo, I will be using a purple wire to demonstrate where to wire it. So the positive terminal of the piezo will be also wired onto the Arduino Uno module, but on pin D4 here. So I think the wiring for all components are done. So I will move on to the coding part of the circuit. To access the coding part of the Arduino Uno module, click here, and then you will see a coding section using blocks is displayed here. So here you will see that the code here can be constructed using blocks provided in these 6 sections here, or you can also use some text in order to do the coding yourself. But we'll be using the blocks, mainly using the blocks here to do the coding of the Arduino Uno module. So first of all, hmm, remove the code, the initial code inside here, inside the forever block here, and then on start we'll be setting the values of 3 pins here to either high or low. So on start, since on start we will not be sensing any gas initially. So here, sensing any smoke initially, I mean. So here, as you can see here, the green LED is connected to pin 2. So initially, pin 2 is set to high, and then for the red LED, it is connected to D3. It's connected to D3, and for the piezo, it's connected to D4. So as for our code, the LED pin 3, which is connected to pin 3, and the piezo, which is connected to pin 4, should be set to low. So both of the piezo and the red LED will not be activated when the gas sensor doesn't sense any gas. I mean, sense any smoke. So moving on to the forever block part of the code. Moving on to the control. Onto the control section, we will need a block here, this block here. If the condition, then else, if and else code block here, and I will be using, and then next moving on to the math section of the code, we will be using this one here to set up our condition for our if and else coding. So for our initial value for comparing, we'll be using the we'll be using the read analog pin here, and then for this symbol here, we'll be using the bigger than what value. So this value here, we'll set this value to 410, and the reasoning is this is the threshold. Sorry. The reasoning for setting this value 410 is because initially, when there is no smoke detector, the gas sensor outputs a value of about 300. So as smoke gets closer to the gas sensor, the value which is sent to the analog A0 here will be increased. So when the smoke approaches and the value sent from B1 to the A0 here exceeds 410, this green LED here will be deactivated, and then the piezo and the red LED will be activated. So in order to achieve that, we could just duplicate the three blocks of code here, and then reverse their state. So this pin 2 here will be deactivated, which is the green LED will be deactivated, as I said before, and then for pin 3 and pin 4 will be turned to high, as will be activated as smoke is detected from the gas sensor. So D3 here, pin 3 here is connected to red LED, and then pin D4 is connected to the piezo. So both of them need to be activated when the gas sensor senses smoke. that is incoming. As for the else part of the code, you can just directly duplicate the code here and then just paste it in. So whenever the gas sensor doesn't sense any smoke anymore, it will reset the pin 2 to high, reset the pin 3 and 4 back to low. So that's all for the coding part for this circuit, and I will also start the simulation of this circuit later. Now I'm going to start the simulation for this smoke detector circuit. So by starting the simulation, you can just click this button here. So waiting for it to start the simulation, as you can see here, the LED here is lit up. The green LED here is lit up, so indicating there is no smoke near the gas sensor. If I click on the gas sensor here, you will see there is smoke. There is smoke on top of the gas, far away of the gas sensor. As I move the smoke, this cloud of smoke here, closer to the gas sensor, as you can see here, later you will see the green LED will turn off and the red LED will turn on, and the piezo will start playing a high pitch noise. So here, if I move closer, move the smoke near the piezo, as you can see here, the piezo here is producing noise, and the red LED is lit up and the green LED here is turned off. Move closer, then changes, it is still playing. The piezo and the red LED is still playing. And if I move out, then if I move the smoke out of the range of the smoke detector, as you can see here, the piezo and the red LED is turned off and the green LED is turned on again. So I think this is all for the simulation of this smoke detector circuit, and I will thank everyone for watching this video. So thank you for watching and thank you for listening.